such a tight game?
Just before we started, just on behalf of our footy club, I just want to pass on our condolences to the Selwood family. Obviously horrific news. Obviously the footy community is in mourning, and as well as obviously Robert Wall. So he was a past coach of our footy club. It's a sad week for the footy community, but just wanted to pass on our condolences from our club to the families that have been affected.
Such a tight game. Where do you think it got away in the end?
Yeah, we just spoke about it with the boys. Our start wasn't good enough. The first quarter we got smashed in inside 50, smashed in clearance. They dominated territory. They kicked 6 goals from 16 entries. You're not going to win many quarters of footy doing that and allowing that many, or that sort of scoreboard ascendancy. So, that we just didn't start the right way. I think 4 of those goals come from clearance or from stoppage. So, really negative way to start, but the positive was our response. Across the board, our numbers after that, our response, our fight was a real positive. So, in a tight game, you're always looking at where the improvement is going to, or where it comes from, and that's going to be our start. It just wasn't up to standard, and we were on the back foot for the rest of the day.
Clearances was a bit of an issue most of the day. How do you sort of, although you end up winning the territory battle, funnily enough, how do you sort of see that?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think it was a really tight. I don't know the exact number, but I know there was more stoppages today than in most games. So, we wanted to embrace that fight. We know that they're very good at it. They end up kicking 7 goals, 7 from stoppage, and we end up kicking 6 ourselves. But like I said, 4 of those come in the first quarter. It's a funny one, clearance. Like, our captain's going to wear that. He's going to feel like it's on him as a ruck and our midfield crew. But there's so much more to clearance wins and minimising clearance losses and maximising your own. So, there's some positional issues or just technique and talent in their front end. They maximise theirs and early. Like I said, we kept toiling and fighting away, and those numbers started to look a bit better for the second part of the game. But just the start wasn't good enough, and the boys will be licking their wounds for sure.
Is the most stoppages for a game all year? Were you, and you said you embraced it, but was that the style you were kind of planning going in that sort of game?
Yeah, well, we want to play that way anyway, and it just happened. Look, there was a lot of forward 50 stoppages. So if your ball does live in your front end for a bit, I don't know how many forward 50 stoppages it had. It just felt like there was a lot. So there's a lot of repeat stoppages. I think Nank had 14 tackles, and a few of our boys were hitting double-figure tackles. So, that's the game. We're trying to nullify, like I said, their strength. They've got a really potent midfield crew that are in good form. They have been for the last month. So there's a bit going on around those stoppages, but that's the fight that we got in, and obviously they were just a bit better at it today.
Outside of that first quarter, and as you said, stoppage and clearance was a problem, it felt like maybe the second possession you got back on top when you had control. Was that kind of part of the messaging was, don't win first possession, but we're definitely going to win the second?
We don't want to go into the game losing clearance, but you want to minimise any clearance loss. So, our rebound from their clearance wins was a positive in the second part of the game, and we weren't setting the ground up to do that, but our players' response and their work rate to get back and support. But like I said, we don't go into the game to lose clearance. We want to win territory. We want to own time in forward half, and based on our between arc stoppages in the second part, we did respond in the right way. Like I said, we just weren't good enough in the first quarter, and we're chasing our tails for the rest of the game.
The pressure really lifted in the second quarter, though. Was that part of the message, or
what's that?
The pressure really lifted in the second quarter.
Yeah. Well, our pressure numbers throughout the game were really impressive, and like I said, I mentioned Nank, but like Seth Campbell, our front end, our boys in our front end, every time we hit the deck, I'm not sure how many forward 50 tackles we had, but it felt like there was a lot, and that's what we want. We want to strangle teams when it gets in our front end. We want it to be really tough to play against and hard to get out, and we did get that in a response. Like I said, in the second and third quarter, we're exactly what we want, and then look, in the end, it's a tight game scenario. Last week we're on the obviously on the right side of the equation, and today we weren't. But all along, like last week, we weren't good enough in the middle part of the game, and we reviewed the game honestly. And this week we'll review the first quarter and then be really proud of the response. And a guy was playing his 200th game that doesn't give up and hasn't given up ever in any game. He fights right to the end, and that's all I wanted our players to do, be able to look Camden in the eye at the end of the game and play with the right attitude and spirit, which they did. And like I said, we're just unlucky not to be on the right end of it by the end of the game.
Just right at the end, this, the non-call on Dave Uniac for deliberate. Did you see it, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, whether it is because it is a tight game, but it's always a hard one. But as I reckon Clarko would have heard me yell out, you get frustrated with that sort of stuff, because if it was early in the game, they might have paid it. But it is what it is. It's a hard one to umpire at the best of times. But that rule, but we gave ourselves a chance to win it. We had a few shots in the last quarter. A tight game scenario, that's all you can do, is get the opportunity to get an opportunity to win the game, and we had a few of them in the end. And I know those boys that missed those opportunities will be feeling that, but that's not what the method's right. We got those chances, and we'll take it next week.
Sam Banks backed up his breakout performance last week. How important is it having that second and third prong as rebounders behind the ball when you get Jaden Short back?
Yeah, it is, and that's the game right now. You need to be able to, and that's part of minimising stoppage loss, is how quick you can bounce out of your back end. So Banks is in really good form, and he has been throughout the year, and he's just growing. Luke Trainer will become that player. Tom Brown today was very, very, very good in our back half, and they held up okay, our backs. Like I said, the first part of it, they won't be happy with the first quarter, and they spoke through that, and they grit their teeth, and they wanted to fight. So, and they did that for the back part of the year. But Banks is becoming a player. Sammy Lawler looked really potent again today, and Seth Campbell's hit the scoreboard and looking like an A-grade little forward. So, we need those boys to really develop and really quickly.
And Noah Bolter comes out of that back line for the next 2 weeks. It looks like he probably can't play in either of those VFL games either. Does he go into a 2-week training block?
Yeah, we'll go through that now. We'll work that out. We obviously know he's not available for Dreamtime, which is disappointing, but he'll do what he did last time, and that's train hard and get ready to play and come in and have impact, and he did that again today. Whether he is playing VFL or training, his attitude and just being a good teammate, he's helping a lot of our younger defenders at training. He'll do that if it's the next 2 games that he's missing. He'll go into a training block and be ready to play when he's next available.
Any injuries from today?
No, everyone got through, which is nice, and we've got a 5-day break, and we'll just have to manage and work out who's available for that and make sure everyone's okay. But right now, Ben's adamant that everyone should be okay.
Just on McIntosh, couldn't quite get the win for him, but nice to see him kick a couple of snags.
yeah, and it's well deserved. Like I said, he's and he got to play on the wing today, which was nice. Kane McAuliffe come into the team and had 20-odd possessions and gave him an opportunity. But Camden this season's changed his whole role and worked his butt off to help our midfield crew, and for him to not only play well today, but I think he would understand that the players played for him today and played the right way. Yet we didn't get the chocolates, but I think that he'd be proud of the effort of the young boys, and we're just unlucky that they were just a bit too good today. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much.